Hey, great to see everybody.
Hey,
Kicking the meeting off this
welcome.
week.
Sorry, I'm late.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Hard to believe we are in October, Q4 of 2025. It feels like we just rolled the clock early, like New Year's, but here we are in month 10 of 2025. And I'll edit this quickly and kick it over to Chip. Chip, sounds like you've been just relaxing based on our pre-call banter.
Yeah, I've just been sleeping. The last 3 weeks I've been trying to take let's see, the previous 30 some weeks of these calls, I suppose, and condense them into a keynote presentation for DattoCon and five other things at the same time. So there's been a lot going on. Um, for you guys who are coming to DattoCon, I should apologize up front. You're going to be bored at everything I've got to say because you guys all have a preview to it, or most of it. There's some kind of new stuff in there, but it is really exciting. I mean, it's made me reflect on this past year since we joined Kaseya and before everybody was let in. Anthony and Ben and I were talking about how much stuff has changed, so much so that I don't even. I do not consider myself an expert on my own software creation anymore. And that said with both pride and what's the other word? Disappointment. But we're working on a lot of cool stuff. Leron's presentation last week, that was very, very interesting for everybody as a primer, but I'd like you to allow your brains to expand to what that actually means for what's going on behind the scenes. There's some really, really cool things coming. So um, I'll give you a win of the week. So one of the things I needed to do was check in on some stats and see where we are for things like that we normally report in the SASE report. And who wants to guess the number of how many active compromises we've stopped so far in 2025?
Is it per user or per company or per
All
MSP?
of SaaS alerts, everybody.
Hmm. I'd say it's on the order of 5 to 10,000, but I may be light.
Okay, one guess.
How many
Come
users
on.
are how many accounts do you guys have now, Chip? About
Mm, I think it's in the 6 million range.
Yep, exactly 6 million.
6 million. All right, you ready for my guess, Chip?
Yep, yep.
You guys have stopped 3.9 million.
Wow, that's a big number. Okay, so it's in between. One more guess in between 10,000 and 3.9 million.
Chip, we've got guesses of 100K, 80K, 50K, a million,
1
337,000,
million.
37,000. We got all kinds of great ideas.
Okay. 100K is the closest. It's 120,000 just for SaaS alerts alone. And I'm giving away some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about next week at DattoCon. When you factor in SaaS alerts and Datto EDR, which now work together, I don't even know if everybody on this call knows that yet. It's 260,000 active
Wow.
compromises snubbed out in minutes. Like that is a win. For me, that's a win.
You know, it'd be interesting, Chip, to see if you could get would be if those configuration changes were a result of SaaS alerts auditing and Fortify and that process that can happen. That would be a really valuable. How you've made more secure than just blocking it.
Yeah, so Andy, I've asked Harsh, who none of you know, but he's one of our most senior engineers, and he's the guy that keeps track of all this data for us from one SASE report to the next. I've actually asked him to do analysis on that very question because since we've introduced Fortify and that has strengthened the CSPM, the posture management side, the overall trend per unit of, let's say, 100 users or 1,000 users, I don't know how we'll look at that, has probably gone down.
You know,
Because Fortify is one of our most heavily used modules, and that definitely reduces the attack surface.
and
So
Chip, what I'm thinking here is once you've established what that number is, what the cost is for not having it implemented, and how the ROI then for using an MSP with SaaS alerts and EDR, that helps it with a real strong communication point.
couldn't agree more, Andy. I'm going to give you all the numbers, and you can attach whatever ROI on it you want.
Thanks.
Chip. So I was going with that. Sorry, these are active. I was going with attempts like at 65%. Do you have like attempts?
We do. I mean, that numbers, if you're talking attempts, you're talking about password sprays and brute forces and all that kind of stuff. That's in the tens of millions. I can guarantee you that. I'm just
Okay.
talking about active compromises that, were tagged with 95+% confidence that the account has been compromised and then shut down.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And to me, 260,000 is a pretty sizable number.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge. I was going with like, the fact that, just percentage wise, like I gave it a 65% that an M365 account would have an active attempt to
Yeah.
be compromised.
Yep. I get it. Your math is probably pretty good there. That would make sense. I mean, that's nonstop every day.
Right. Right.
Ask, anybody, and I think we being the guys on our team who look deeply at the back end of our data, we've actually gotten desensitized to the millions and millions and millions of what I call drive-bys, that whole collection of brute force and password sprays and all that stuff. I call them drive-bys.
Chip, this would be worthy to have on the website of number of blocked. I mean, just having, instead of having the account up for the debt for the US, start doing this for blocks by SaaS Alerts.
That's so funny you said that, because as soon as you said it'd be easy, the picture in my head that popped up was the US debt clot.
Right.
We
Yeah.
talked about that a few times, if you recall, on the call, Andy.
Yeah,
Remember?
we have. When we run out of features to build, Andy, I think we'll get to that kind of eye candy.
Oh, but you could drill down on the eye candy then and say you want to connect with a partner from, SaaS Alerts so that you can take advantage of this. That to me would be the drill down piece.
Yeah. I rarely disagree with anything you say, Andy. We just don't have time to keep up with all your ideas.
All right. I'll
Good.
stop.
Okay. Do we have any partner wins of the week?
I was going to say, yeah, well, let's head over there. Speaking of eye candy.
And Enrique is usually the first one to chime in here, but he's looking curiously silent.
Sorry, what was that?
We're just looking for wins of the week from the partner side, Enrique. And it is a win of the week if you had nothing happen, nothing bad happened.
We started
don't forget-
prospecting a pharmacist group, and
Oh,
they don't
nice.
have auditing enabled, so we can't get really great data out of their tenant because they don't even have it
Wow.
enabled. And I just went, okay.
So you did enable it, right? That's a pretty
No,
old tenant.
I haven't gone in because they've only given us access to run SaaS Alerts in a demo, in that analysis mode. And
Yep.
I think I'm going to have to talk to them about the fact that this isn't even enabled that way. So that's a big deal, and I don't even think they're aware of it.
If
Wow.
you've connected with global admin creds for that initial handshake,
I handed
the-
off to them the
Got it.
link.
That's the
the
link, yeah.
process.
Yeah, that's a good question. Chip, I know we automatically, it's the only thing the platform does automatically to make changes to someone's environment. If you load a client up for prospecting and auditing is not turned on, we attempt to do that automatically. Takes from 3 to 24 hours to get those results. But I'm curious if I'm sharing a link with a partner and auditing is disabled, if automation will still turn on. I kind of think it should. Chip, what do you think? Logic? Should that?
I think you're missing a step. I think we built that flow into connecting to respond. That's where it happens. Because SaaS Alerts manage the original tool. It can run just fine without auditing turned on. But respond is, effectively hobbled if you don't have it. And I think that's where we put that functionality. When you want to step up and start using automated responses, that's when it's got to kick in.
I'll talk to the powers that be about that. I'll see what Jason wrote.
Well, one of the
I have a
powers
big
that be
one.
is here. That's Amanda. She might know the answer to that. But Enrique, go ahead.
First time back in the office since June this week. So that's a big win for me. No one's going to understand why, but I'm back in the office. So
All
I thought
right.
it was going to be impossible.
I'm glad things are returning to normal, Enrique.
Thank you.
I want to toss something in. It's by far not a win because I just got off a call with it's not a client of ours. It's a local business that apparently got a whole account takeover. So I thought, oh, if they could get in via admin, we'd put on security tools, see what's going on. They reached out to Microsoft and said they had a account takeover, and they said it could take a day, a week, a month for them to get back. So they're not my client. Does anybody have any advice or resources? I asked them to reach out to their insurance company at this point, but
Is it their admin account that was taken over?
yes.
Wow.
And they only have
and they don't
one?
have and they don't have a break glass account?
No. So I did mention gently that, if they were somebody that we work with, these are the things we want to have in place. We can't go back in time. I'm just wondering, I'm shocked that Microsoft, obviously they've got millions of customers.
So one thing would be to set up a temporary domain and route all email through that. So you could set up a temporary tenant and get them running. And they probably have control over their MX record. And so you could route it that way. That would be a quick way to get something flowing.
That is good.
You mean just email, Andy?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to do anything for
they're
their
not going to get
docs.
access to their data, but at least they're not
Yep.
losing more business, right?
Yeah, okay. A temporary domain. And I asked them to reach out to the insurance company because I'm concerned, like it's somebody I know, so I want to help, but I also don't want to inadvertently do more harm than good.
And
Andrew,
Andrew
you got your
froze.
hand up. Oh, he froze
Oh.
big time. Yeah.
Oh,
can
Andrew
you,
froze.
can you just go back? So can you, oh, shit. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So in backup, is it just M365 that was taken over? Is there ransomware? Can you give me the scope?
As far as I know, it's sort of a bizarre story, and I'll get all the facts later. They said they just started losing control. They lost their admin, and they contacted Microsoft, and they weren't savvy enough to know indicators of compromise and all that. So a week later, they're in a really bad spot, but their 365 environment's been taken over. So I think getting into the MX records, again, they're not a client of ours, but if we get in the MX records and the temporary domain is something I want to reach out to them and have them do.
Are they
No break glass account, no best practices in place. I think the guy's email address was being used as an admin as well. So, but can't go back in time.
So are they regulated?
It's not a medical or finance or anything like that.
Just
I asked them to
reputational,
reach out to
okay.
insurance.
Do they have cyber insurance?
It's one of those, I think so.
By the way,
Okay.
and I know a forensics guy. He might be of help as well if you want to connect offline.
I was just say if they don't, then yeah, Andy's going out of our path. So like a John Strand's team would.
Yeah, this is a Merriman out of Los Angeles. He's probably not as expensive as John's team. That would be the only thing there.
Hey, Ann, just to clarify, you probably want to get a temporary tenant, not a domain. And then once you get the temporary
Yes,
tenant, then you
exactly.
can point the domain to the temporary tenant.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this kind of just happened before this call. And Andy, if you, I'll put my email address in here if you want to send me.
I can actually chat you, it looks like. Give me one moment. I'm going to chat it to you now, Ann.
Oh, okay, thank you. Probably can't type my email address. It's sad hearing the story of how much
Oh,
trouble
no,
they
I
got
can't.
in so fast.
And send me an email, please.
Okay,
I can't post. All right, thanks.
That's my email, okay.
Got it.
Okay. By the way, before we go on with, if you have other wins, hold them for a second. Leron, you had something you wanted to share.
Yes, just a really quick announcement. If you're going to be at DattoCon next week, we're doing a product council for SaaS Alerts, Rocket Cyber, Kaseya SIM. If you're interested in joining, I see Roman, you raised your hand. Please contact Anthony, or Anthony will collect the information here inside the chat and forward you all the invite. We will be talking about the future of all of these three products, in addition to some interesting AI related things. And we'd love your feedback. We'd love for you to attend.
Liran, do we already know where and what time? Do you have
Yeah,
details on the room booked and that stuff?
yeah,
Maybe we can get that in the chat here.
it'll be, well, we have a meeting invite, a calendar invite that will get people on when they sign up here.
Hey, Leron, do you know what day at least? Because my schedule is pretty booked for next week with all
It
the other
is,
stuff.
yeah, that's a really good question. It is Wednesday, October
Wednesday.
at 2:15.
Oof.
Put you on the list,
Yeah.
Roman.
Yeah, put
So
me on
make
the
it
list.
make it if you can.
Okay.
All right, Stephen, let's
Yeah.
hear from you.
Oh yeah, like a legacy sort of client, where they didn't really have any of our services, and yeah, it's not not at a not in our CSP sort of partner or anything. They just kind of had the subscription on their own, and reached out, said they lost access to their global admin, and so we do the best that we can, try to help them create a ticket with Microsoft, and just yeah, maybe we'll be able to get them connected to all these services, but that's definitely a risk that comes around every now and then. The customers that don't have full services can only do what we're asked sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, we had it was an end user that had had the global admin role. But yeah, it was interesting. It sounded like and it was talking about that when I joined.
All right.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, Amanda, you ready to go?
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Let me share my screen. All right, so I have a couple of items to show to you guys today. One more that wasn't on the list, Andrew, because it actually got released. So I'm in respond rule right now, but it's available on respond rules and IOC rules. When you're on the configuration part down here, so you have if you're in IOCs, you just have the alert configuration. If you're in respond, you have your actions. That alert notifications tab, though, instead of only having SMS, mobile app, or email, there's now automated calling as well. So you can receive a phone call. This is limited right now for this initial release to only 15 calls per an hour across all rules per a partner. So just a reminder on that piece of this. If you need a rule to have manual approval, you're going to want to select another one of the notifications as well so that you can actually perform that approval or rejection. So automated calling is on production as of this morning.
And just to add to that, when we got into all the feedback that we got last time we presented this and said, hey, this is coming, all this aggregation logic that you guys were asking for, it turns out that that's basically a mini product in and out of itself, right? We thought we could just do something simple, like Amanda just said, and we committed to getting it out this quarter, this week, and so it's out. But we are going to be adding on additional logic in order to go deeper and really controlling the phone calling situation. So I just wanted to let everyone know.
Hey, guys, quick question on that. So when the system calls, let's say it's a rule, is there like a choice? If you want to block, press 1, if you want to ignore, press 2, or is it just simply letting you know what happened and that's it?
Simply letting you know what happened. That's why I'm saying if you have to do some sort of approval, you're going
All
to
right,
want
I
to
got you.
put, yeah. So
Okay.
this is, it'll say respond rule A triggered for XYZ, so it just lets you know that it happened.
Okay, so forgive me, this is for an alert notification.
For respond
Flow.
or IOC, when the rule is triggered, we will provide a phone call to let you know that rule A For account B, XYZ happened, whatever the criteria is. So we'll
Okay.
give you that summary. So the same thing you see in your joint like in the description, and then the description details on the like analysis page. That'll be read out loud to you in the phone call.
That sounds great. Sorry, I thought for a minute this sounded like some end user verification almost. That could be interesting. Yeah, the notification is real good though.
Yeah, so like we said, this is iteration 1, so it is just that, a notification.
Great, thanks.
And can we pick, I guess, are we allowed to put in different phone numbers per org? Or is that kind of like a global thing that goes to us only?
No, so you put the phone call in, you put the phone number in just like you would for all the other options. So you
Gotcha. Okay,
choose per
cool.
rule which phone numbers you're putting in.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
If there's any other questions, take them first. But I'm really curious if you guys maybe in just the chat can chime in on how many people will be incorporating this into, like, for their on-call staff and sending messages to co-managed customers or customers directly. I'm very curious about what the uptake is going to look like on this.
I never thought of it. This could be SaaS Alerts Lite if I'm able to alert my customer if they're not using us for anything other than the SaaS Alerts part of this. This would be a way to give them another value step. Thank you.
Sorry, are there any other questions?
No, this is really cool because we've been using PagerDuty to kind of achieve the same thing. And this kind of eliminates that. That's pretty nice.
Well, and this is better than having it come in as just a P1 and have, we use OpsGenie, have OpsGenie try to read through
100%.
one of these tickets. There's a lot of too much to read.
100%.
So we're displacing two other brands here?
Well, just to help kind of handle the SaaS alerts kind of, alerts. Yeah, it helps.
Would this go to Rocket Cyber as well? In other words,
right. I was going to say the same thing, Andy.
Yeah, if I'm having my MDR and this goes to the MDR, then they could help begin to process this as well.
So as you guys know, we are actively rebuilding Rocket Cyber on top of the SaaS Alerts architecture. And so what we are calling Rocket Cyber 2.0 will very much get this feature.
So, and the SOC will be able to respond, right, Leroy?
That's exactly right.
Cool. Perfect.
Can they press 1 to reset the password?
Well, Steven,
yeah,
that's
so
exactly.
there's options
that'd
we
be
can
cool,
look
right?
at. Yeah, there's options we can look at. Like Liron said, this is the initial, so that we can see who's using it, how people are using it, gather feedback, see what's useful, see what's not useful, etc. This is just the first iteration, and then we plan to have iterations.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
Steven, I would ask you, right, from a security standpoint, do you want to be able to press 1 and block an account? Is that a desirable thing that we want to happen?
Well,
I'm just thinking if I point it to our on-call tech, perhaps if we say, assign in, look, and then we could have a manual,
or
what is it, approval on
we
the
could
action.
Again, we're spitballing here, inventing features on the fly, live on the call, which is what we like to do.
So you know how on the app there's that option on the app you could approve or deny, sort of kind of thing.
Approve or reject.
That would be right. That would be really cool on the phone call too, because if you call me, let's say I get a call at 2 a.m.
Roman, what I would say is, yeah, agreed. But let's use TOTP right on the 30-second rotation, and Adam's going to talk about that shortly in order to get you to validate that you are who you say you are before we just let you willy-nilly. Anyone who answers a phone call can now block some CEO's account who's going to end up yelling at you at 3 a.m, right? Let's avoid that.
That's true. Well, okay, yeah, I'm all for that.
Hey, Leron,
and don't forget for the for the advanced cyber world, there's there's SIM swapping and SIM forgery, so that phone call might not wind up where you think it's gonna.
Chip and Leron, for Rocket Cyber 2.0, being able to have something like My IT Process help develop and drive policies to feed all this would be, I'm seeing you guys making it
Something
so
close
that,
to that sounds great. Yeah.
because then what we're able to do is help create policy and procedure to drive the macro level of this, and then deal with the response of it. I'm perceiving that you're getting to a point where we have to add higher value services all the time around maintaining all these pieces, not just reacting to them.
Got it. And that, I mean, we'll have additional feedback sessions on this. This feature just came out. We feel like it provides value. We've talked about enhancing scheduling. We're now getting feedback about requests to, hey, give me the ability to take some action on this thing and actually approve it. And this is why we do what we're doing. And, you know, my only thing is we need to do this in a secure way, and perhaps TOTP is the way to do it. But as Amanda said, we'll continue collecting feedback and listening to you guys and improving these things.
But what's your kind of drawback on, like, so when adding the phone, I think that should be OTP should be an option there, right? You add my cell phone number, it sends me a code. I have to verify the code before my phone could be added, and then you kind of know it's me. I understand the SIM swapping stuff, and then maybe you could get in deeper, like Enrique said, with Microsoft Authenticator. There shouldn't be. If you call me, it's probably
Or
time
maybe
sensitive.
one or the other. Yeah, maybe
Right.
be able to choose.
I don't want to be wasting precious seconds verifying who I am when you're called me, because you know every second matters in a compromise.
Yeah,
So
SMS is kind
to
of,
me,
you know, I like voice.
verification needs to happen. Verification needs to happen when I add that phone number in, either through Microsoft Authenticator or a text message or whatever it is. Then when you add that trusted number, you kind of know that my number is mine, and just go from there.
Roman,
Now,
the
of
only
course,
thing
if
I don't
somebody steals my phone, that's a whole
Yeah,
different story, right?
exactly. That's the thing I don't like about that
Right.
flow. Like I would approach this in a little more of an old-fashioned way, where you and your team have a 6-digit, you know, code that either each one of them individually, you assign it to each number that you've got to know. It's you know, it's also it's the something you know, something you have approach, right? This has got to
Okay.
be in your head. There's no way we're going to send it to you because we don't know it's actually you
Right.
on the other end of that device. So
So
you got
kind
to
of like an alarm
memorize.
company, kind of like an alarm
Yeah,
company. When they call me, they ask
exactly.
me for a passcode. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
your
sense.
alarm goes off in your house. You got to enter that master passcode, or they call you. Same thing.
Right.
Safe word,
Perfect.
whatever you want to
Yep,
call
That's
it.
your
that's
security pin.
I like that.
Otherwise, you know, you can't. Yeah.
Yep. So
Okay, fair enough.
I'd be
There's
real
a way.
supportive of that, and I'd even be supportive of having that. Amanda, if you scroll up for a second or open the automated calling to add a number, you know, add the number and add the
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 pin
security phrase or the pin.
for that number, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pin makes more
Cool.
sense because that's much easier to do.
Yeah, have a
But
security pin with it.
yeah, but it never gets sent to the device along with the call.
So now, does that pin? Do you get prompted for the pin before it tells you what happened, or after? Meaning,
If it were me, I would do it before anything.
Mhm.
I would say, you know, this is SaaS Alerts calling with an alert notification. Please enter your PIN. That's the way, you know, when we get to version 2 of this, I would do it
Oh,
that way.
that
Okay.
could be
Because I don't
smart.
want,
Yeah.
I don't even want someone to hear customer
Right.
X, user account of customer X had,
True.
you know, ABCD, had the whole explanation
And you
Mhm.
can
spelled out to
have
them.
that be protected. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Or it could be even integrated in a SaaS Alerts app, like a push notification where I have to press accept or deny,
Could be.
right?
But again, that's coming to the phone, right? Presumably the same.
True.
If someone is
Very true.
holding your phone in an
Correct.
unauthorized way, then
Correct.
the app is sitting right there for that push notification.
Okay. That makes sense.
All right, we better keep going, Andrew. We've done what we always do. We're almost killing 40 minutes
Yeah.
in unscheduled stuff.
Yeah, so then next thing, just real quick, just to let you guys know, there is a new and improved UI coming to reports. This is to make it have a look and feel more like other Kaseya products. I'm not going to show a ton because the content is not different. This is just a heads up. The UI is going to look slightly different. All functionality remains the same. All reports remain the same. All features are the same. It's just a little makeover, if you will. And Reports is the first app that's getting it on our side. It will be rolled out to additional apps as time allows. I think, Liron, right? Up until like April or May of next year.
Yes, we're going to be trickling this out. Reports is the first one out.
Yep. So that is coming in the next probably few days. And then the last thing I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on is that we are going to continue to enhance Fortify, and the first piece that we are stepping into is adding additional items to the snapshot feature. So we already have the first two, the conditional access policies and the Intune device configuration. The next one we're working on is Defender anti-spam policies. And then there's a series of other Defender items that we are going to be looking at. But just kind of wanted to give you guys a preview that Defender, Entra ID, Intune, additional Intune things, and Purview is kind of like the next subset we're looking at it for the expansion of the snapshot feature.
That's awesome. Amanda, before you leave, so James, just south of me in Sarasota, has a question. What's up, James? Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Quick question regarding reports.
Yeah.
Slightly off topic, and you may not know off the top of your head, but I figure I'd ask. Do you know if there's an ETA on the email reports being fixed?
The scheduled reports, there's a specific bug you're looking for an update on?
Well, so and it's actually both in the scheduled. So we have a daily scheduled report that sends the billing report to our accounts receivable department, which has been down for like 3 weeks. But even like manually sending reports via email has stopped working. We have a ticket open, but there was no ETA. I wasn't sure if you might have had some better
Yeah,
insight.
so the reports team has to get out the UI first out the door before then we can release the next batch. So that most likely is in our next batch, James, but I will look and I will send you an email with what I see for ETA.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Mr. Adam.
Yes, sir. All right, gonna grab this screen. Well, my text message was about an Airbnb that I was trying to rent. So if you guys want to go back and take a look at that, that's awesome. All right, so this is an update to the TOTP, or actually an addition to TOTP to our platform. So if you go to any user here and click edit, you will see your normal edit screen here with a configure TOTP button. And then you will get the standard code that you share out or you scan with your phone, and you do the magic that you do for TOTP. That will allow you to log into Manage, and I believe reports and Fortify were released at the exact same time. The mobile build is being passed through the app stores as we speak. So that should be coming here very soon. Another item is we have recently changed the help button over here. And there are new links, a new menu, and the biggest thing is an ideas portal. This ideas portal is linking to the Kaseya mothership ideas portal that all products are rolling out. And we will begin to phase that in and phase out the NOLT or the other community board that some of you have had access to. So that is the big news from our side.
Awesome. Any questions for Adam on TOTP?
Yeah, Adam, so this feature is separate from, say, logging in with Kaseya One. It's the same thing.
Correct.
If I do log in, oh, gotcha. Okay.
Good question. Yeah. So there are folks that use the Microsoft button, the Google button, the K1
I see. Okay.
button. This does not apply to that. This is if you're using an email address and a password internal to the SaaS Alerts authentication, then you have the option of doing TOTP. And once you enable the TOTP, you will be basically deregistered from the SMS. And as of right now, there is no way back and there is no choice to switch.
And there won't be. We want to obliterate SMS.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Really good.
All right.
Yeah, I can't imagine how many messages are going out. Sure, reducing that will be a good progress. Yep.
And it's just better security hygiene. I mean, I'm still
bet.
amazed that all the big banks use SMS, but they do.
It's like fax, kind of.
So Chip, ready for some fun?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Eric Monroe was a co-host on the Cyber Call this week. So I'll go a little bit deeper into this what's this saying? Unable to send. Okay. I'm putting this in. It's the latest report. Our friends, this is seems to be the way Corey, unfortunately, and Zach have had to deal with recurring themes. Screen Connect seems to be the gift that threat actors are really focused on right now. Again, Chip. The ruse or the way this is going, Mimecast wrote this threat from their threat team. There appears to be a targeted campaign stealing, harvesting credentials, and then a very sophisticated, or I shouldn't say sophisticated, but very specific spear phishing tactic. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up is we historically, and Ben has done a great job talking about Evil Jinx and how it's been used in the M365 world. And they're back at it again, but this time with Screen Connect. And I think I shared this report with you, Chip, earlier this week, if I recall. And you had some interesting comments, but this is the summary of it that, the low volume obviously is an important piece, right, Chip, to not kick off alerts from phishing, from email security. This would probably tell us that it's a little bit more of a sophisticated threat actor, potentially even, I'm not saying nation state, but certainly somebody that knows what they're doing. This isn't your mom and pop or script kiddie attack. These people know what they're doing. They're targeting and then using the same technologies that we've seen over and over and over in the M365. Now, just one more thing I'll show you, Chip, and then love your thoughts. Interestingly, they're using Amazon. This is a first I've seen. I'm not saying it's not the first threat actors, but we've seen other email services and things like that. This is the first I've seen of Amazon simple email service. And I went over to SES to get a sense of the why, and I did a little bit of research. And the main reason this is being chosen is the efficacy of SES. So that is a highly trusted platform, and therefore a better chance of bypassing, again, email security. So before I go on, there's a few other things, Chip, but love your take so far.
Well, I mean, take right here. How big a surprise is it that attackers who are basically marketers are using a marketing platform built for marketers by Amazon to increase, their deliverable percentage? It's just so there's no irony there. It's just the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday with someone who I would have thought would have realized this about the hacking world, and because they're federal government. And we had a whole discussion around how it's a business and it's a community, and describe the different layers, Andrew, that we talk about all the time from, I'm going to give you this malware. You're going to go out and just harvest credentials. Then you give me the credentials. I got my guy that gets in there and secures the account. Then he passes it off to the guy that's going to stay low and slow and do long-term recon. And he's like, "Does it really work like that? Like, it's not just one guy?" I'm like, yeah, that's the way it
They've got
works.
shared
He said, it's a
responsibilities.
cartel.
Yeah.
It's a cartel. I said, yeah, it's a cartel. Perfect description. But if you go back a screen, Andrew, I want to comment on two of the bullet points in the previous screen. The first is, the observation by Mimecast that this is targeted as senior IT professionals and admins. So when I read that, because you had sent me this stuff, I'm wondering, A, how they know that, or B, is it just the result that those are the people that are most often selecting this? Because if it's true that our counterparts on the Black Hat side actually know that, I'm going to send this to Roman.Shane at some org.com or somecompany.com, and I know he's the admin. That's an interesting, that has all kinds of complications and implications. People putting too much information in LinkedIn and sharing stuff on social media about what they do and where they work. Like there's a lot to think about how social engineering works. And if we're putting out enough information about ourselves that the attackers can successfully target us based on what they know our role was from what they're reading elsewhere, we all have to really be thinking about that.
Well,
And then
Yeah.
the last comment,
Assume breach. Yeah.
yeah, the last comment I have is the adversary in the middle thing. Um, Ben has done a great job really over the last 2 years now. I think the first time we did a demo was at Write a Boom 2 years ago on how this whole attacker in the middle thing works. And even then, there were dozens and dozens and dozens of frameworks, including all your banks and everything else. So the world has been focusing on Microsoft, because obviously it's the biggest target. You can throw a million harpoons into that whale and you still haven't killed it. But this can happen to anything. Anything that is browser-based authentication with an access grant token is susceptible. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a brilliant campaign on the part of the Black Hats. Of course, go after admins, get Screen Connect, or any other kind of support tool you can, and you've got a pathway into all kinds of end user devices that you didn't have before.
Well, Chip, what's interesting that you point out of admins versus MSPs, you wonder, was there some type of compromise in terms of how their database was stratified, MSP versus non-MSP? Do you know what I mean? Threat actors,
Yeah, it's plausible. It's
people,
plausible.
threat actors are smart and sophisticated, but they're certainly more opportunist than, let me scroll through and figure out, out of this database dump. They'll, shoot, stuff out. So it's just interesting that it's geared in terms of obviously this coming from probably some incidents and what Mimecast is seeing in those emails, right, in their security of the attempts. So that's what I find interesting about that piece.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely part of the angle.
But yeah, this is interesting. And then there was a quick comment from, I think it was Ron. Ron, are you familiar a little bit with SES? This is, like I said, I'm not real familiar with that platform, but I do know it's a marketing platform. It sounded like you're a bit familiar with it.
Not SES, but SendGrid, which is similar. And so, there's a lot of different send mail platforms out there that have popped up. A lot of them around marketing, but some of them around utility. And SendGrid is one of the ones that I'm real familiar with because one of our actually several of our companies are using it. And so, but I've seen the Amazon SES one because one of our, it was a customer or vendor was sending us emails that looked like they were coming from them, but they weren't sending them. And the reason they weren't sending them is because they had used that service and added that domain as a address to their SPF record so that it was allowed to send on their behalf, but they didn't scope it to a specific IP address. And so if you're using a service like that, you should get a fixed IP address and then add that, just the IP address to your SPF record. And then nobody can send it on your behalf unless they have that IP address.
But is it from on the other way is the quote unquote reputation of it, Ron, helping get things through the email security? That's how I took it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean it's Amazon or it's SendGrid, so those are big name services, and they're never going to be blocked.
Right.
So they're always going to get through. But the threat actors are taking advantage of that because they know that
Kind of like a
they can
misconfiguration.
send. It is a misconfiguration, or let
Yeah.
me say it's a lack of configuration on the part of the company using it,
The
because
core domain
all they
has
need.
no SPF record.
Right. Well, no, there is an SPF record, but it's overbroad. So it says anything from this. I don't know what the actual URL is, but anything from this SES URL or this SES domain is allowed to come through and send email on our behalf. And really that shouldn't be allowed, because then you can just go and provision that account, an SES account for yourself, and you can spoof the header and send on their behalf, and they'd have no way of stopping it, because their SPF record says it's okay for their address to be spoofed by a threat actor who's using the same domain as they're using.
Which is really, Ron, if you take a look here, what I'm showing, this is literally
Yeah,
what
it's ironic they even allow that. I've always kind of raised my eyebrow, but yeah, it's technically some of these platforms you can do these sorts of, direct send, or it's that sort of technique, I think.
Yeah. So just to kind of like close things out, Chip, it's, this is a la the Microsoft login page, except it's the Screen Connect login page, right? They replicate it. It looks like, and they showed two different versions. I only screen clip one of them. I put the article in, you can see it. So whatever flavor of Screen Connect you're running, they'll serve you up the Screen Connect that you're used to seeing. So anyway, it's the interesting again how using a technology that we saw a lot in Microsoft or M365 compromises now being used in other SaaS applications. So, and in closing, it still looks like Sophos was involved with this, and they said, what was the piece here? Yeah, that how quickly, because these were, admins that they were targeting, Chip, how rapidly, obviously, they could, move across, use it, for whether it was a ransomware or lateral movement. So that, and the synopsis, the synopsis is really well done in terms of kind of just literally for lack of a better word, the kill chain. They do a really good write-up here. Very straightforward in terms of the ruse, how they do it. And so really real done article.
We actually opened a case with Amazon, and they had responded. I'm looking for that. I have it somewhere, but this is how we learned that it was, Amazon has no responsibility for this.
Yeah, these actors are taking a lot more sophisticated actions. It seems, or it's getting that way.
So Corey, I'm glad you're on. Did you see this right up here on I guess the deprecated SMA 100s that are they're saying now that there's new research that
there's not new research,
or well, you bring us up to speed. This was what was just written.
Right. This is Arctic Wolf.
Yes.
They got interviewed by Bleeping Computer. Even though we have direct channels with them, they didn't contact us. Bleeping Computer didn't reach out to us for any type of quote, or sometimes they'll send you, hey, we're posting this article. You have 15 minutes to respond. And if you don't respond, they post it. Talked with Arctic Wolf. It's not anything new. There's no new news. They're not finding anything new. This is still all.
So what are your thoughts on this whole thing with these OTP seeds? Is there anything to that, Corey? Or
so with the there is no validated issue where MFA is being bypassed. And that's something we've been heavily looking into for the past month now.
Right.
All of these is speculation, like, oh, this doesn't make much sense. And then we're talking with them and asking them for, okay, what's your information? What are you going off of? And we're just not getting anything back. And I can't say anything that's going to violate. I can't say specific things we talked about, right? But it's just that this is not any new information. Plus, you also have to be cognizant, and this is the best group to talk about this. When it comes to TOTP, it has the capability within the firewall to say, hey, send me an email for my TOTP. And if you have a business email compromise, they compromise my C. Clark account and my password, then they can go to my VPN and then they can put in my C. Clark credentials. They already have access to my email. They just received my TOTP, right? 6-code password. Now I just authenticated. Now I'm in as into the firewall, into the SSL VPN. Now I'm in your environment. This is how the correlation of a business email compromise, what's happening in the cloud, can translate into your internal network, right? Some of the details that I've seen around this is perfect timing of when TOTP was authenticated to the amount of time it would take to get an email. I can't validate that, can't substantiate that, but we are working closely or closer with Arctic Wolf since this was posted. And I'll save the rest of my soapbox for DattoCon over bourbon and scotch and cigars. And there's just, yeah.
Where's your booth?
I don't know. I was just told to show up and help.
Just follow the smell of bourbon and cigars.
I don't know. Well, I was talking about in chat. Roman said he's bringing the
yeah,
cigars,
I saw it.
so.
I'll be
Save me a
bringing
chair, will
cigars.
you?
I called it. I mean,
Yeah.
Of course. There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, again, this is not any new information. This is they were interviewed, and there is no new information to pass.
Just the same, just more of the same.
It's riding the wave. And this is what I told other people and internal people. I always said in the beginning, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And with situations like this, and it's very interesting to view it from a vendor perspective now, right? Just how this wave is being ridden by other organizations to post articles, to get some news, to bring some traffic to something. And it's like, none of this is validated. None of this is vetted. So
Jumbotron.
What did you say, Tina? Bimbotron?
I said Jumbotron.
Oh, Jumbotron.
Concert with the yeah.
Corey, I bet 18 months ago, you never thought you'd wake up and you'd have to be dealing with a news cycle like you're some kind of politician running for office.
And don't get me wrong, I have hammered vendors in the past, right, on similar situations of what we're going through. Again, this is my first experience from the vendor side, and just kind of seeing all the politics and all the side things that are happening. It's a circus right now. And, we're just trying to do the best that we can and with what we got, and be as transparent and get the information. And, for everybody, we are wrapping up our, getting to the end of our Mandiant investigation. So if you are SonicWall partners, we have been hosting office hours, which I think go a long way. I wish more vendors would do that in situations like this. Actually have people from the vendor talk.
Corey, what's interesting is that you mentioned, sorry, let me just go back 1 second. I'll go to the last slide. It's interesting because obviously Google Threat Intel is Mandiant. And I'm curious, why do you feel like, how are they getting quoted in here? And isn't that kind of a conflict with you guys using them?
Again, this came out of the blue for us. Bleeping Computer posted it. We reached out. Michael and I had a conversation with Arctic Wolf, and we haven't reached out to anything with the GTIG. We haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. That you should take a note on that, Corey, because that's not cool. Yeah. They're also your
the one's doing the IR right now.
IR.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one question for everybody in closing within the last few minutes. I'll put this URL in again. So I'm going to talk about this week on the cyber call, and that is this topic, and it's Gartner is famous, Chip, in coming up with topics or categories, right? Because we need a quadrant to sell stuff.
But yeah, of course.
We're going to be talking about disinformation security or deepfakes, right? And I wanted to get your all take on this. It's almost like when Tina came in the other week, and just kind of there was no agenda, right? It was really just your feelings on, have you dealt with this? Do you have concerns about this? Whether it's hiring remote employees, whether it's your customers hiring remote employees. And do you feel this is something, you're going to be focused on at some point, with all you have to do, though, but like in terms of protecting your clients? So it's an open floor. I'd love your thoughts. We're going to have an expert on this, the cyber call on Monday. So just love your
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a 30-second take. yes, I think this is a legitimate concern. In the broader, from the broader standpoint of deepfakes and deepfake detection in lots of different things, not just in disinformation campaigns. You know, when that phrase probably rings like, okay, you're talking about the, you know, the social media universe, Facebook and X and Instagram, where people do the influencing stuff. But that also can be targeted and be brought down to a very narrow focus to people inside businesses.
Yep.
And I think that's why Gartner's starting to ride this, because anybody that's a social media consumer, I think they've already figured out that you can't necessarily trust an image, a video. I mean, when people put up, you know, decent videos that have redone Pete Hegseth's and Donald Trump's speech to all the generals last week, and everyone in the audience is a baby cartoon. If that doesn't tell you that you really can't trust anything, you know, on social media, you should know it. The thing is, and I think this is what Gartner is going, those very same tools, are going to be used to target people in businesses. And if the business is big enough, businesses have politics and influencing people within the business about decision makers and leaders and everything else. Then it becomes a different kind of ransomware. Wow, look at that, you know, Enrique do. He's running a really great surgical practice doing cosmetic surgery. We're going to go after him and we're going to put some botched faces out there to take his business down. So is this coming? Yeah, of course it is. I mean, I think it is, and we have to be aware of it. I'm very, very interested, I'll put it that way, in the deepfake space and have been analyzing companies that are working in that space. So take that for what you will. But it's definitely a growing category and it's a growing concern.
Very cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's crazy how much AI has evolved rather, even past year. I'm using 11 Labs, and I know we discussed 11 Labs like a year ago when it was still kind of this new thing, and now I'm using 11 Labs. I clone my voice, and I'm using HeyGen. I gave it like 3 minutes of video, and it completely cloned me, my voice and my likeness on videos, and that's what it posts from social media. It's never me. Any videos that I post now is through AI, and it sounds exactly like me. And if I can do it, imagine the bad actors and everyone else. It's crazy.
It is. One more statement on it, Andrew. Let's see if you remember this. 6 months ago, we talked about a story. I think it was an Australian company whose CFO dumped out $500,000 in payments based on approval that he got from his CEO on a Zoom call. And the CEO was a deepfake. That was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, and this stuff is moving, this stuff being the whole universe of what AI tooling can do. Forget about large language models, but the tools being built around AI is moving at absolute blistering speed. That's why Liron is slumped down in his chair and can barely move because he's trying to keep track of it all.
It's funny. So my wife works for the federal government for Social Security. And the biggest thing was when Doge came in and Elon Musk, and again, try to avoid being political here, but the big push right now is for them to replace all the employees with AI. And Grok is fully embedded. And when you think about it, it's nuts. They're taking all of people's Social Security records, like really, really, really bad PIA. Not bad, but personal information, into AI. And the idea is in the upcoming years for AI to do anything that people are answering phones, people are doing manual data entry. AI is supposed to do that. And that is going to be a big disaster. Because imagine if that thing makes mistakes, people aren't going to get paid, information is going to leak. It's going to be a big thing.
If I could close, Roman, with this, to be sarcastic, your wife isn't getting paid right now.
That she's not, and she's working for free because she's essential.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, I'm dealing with this when
For no cigars.
yesterday. Yeah, yes cigars. I'm getting paid.
All right. Have a
Thanks,
great week,
everybody.
All right.
See you
See you guys.
Monday.
See you guys next week. All right. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.